is built so that there's nobody in charge, that everybody has control over their own communications.
In relying on the internet, society was bringing into its very center a machine whose primary function was the reproduction and distribution of information.
It's an inherent function of the networks that we use today that this data is stored and copied, stored and copied. Normally transient, normally very fast, in milliseconds, microseconds. Specialized pieces of equipment such as switches, routers, hubs, etc. do this all in the blink of an eye. But it's the way networks work.
What ARPA's engineers had produced was the blueprint for a massive copying machine without master, which would grow at a fantastic rate into today's internet.
So this entire area is bristling with information transfer of one type or another. For instance, the local council, Tower Hamlets and Hackney, we're sort of on the border here, have some of the surveillance traffic and security cameras linked via wireless networks themselves. The spectrum environment is getting very dirty or noisy. Every single packet that flies through the multitude of wireless networks and through the internet is listened for, stored in memory, and retransmitted, i.e. it's copied from one what's called network segment to the next. Now, our media environment now, our media ecosphere now is so broad, so large, that you cannot contain information very easily anymore. You cannot stop or censor information or stop the transmission once it's out there. It's like water through your hands. It's like trying to stop a dam from bursting. I would say right now we are likely in range of wireless microwave radio transmissions that are most likely breaching some sort of copyright law right at this moment.
To try in the back of modernism and all this international law to make profit out of his own ungenerosity to humankind.
One of the main battlegrounds in law, in technology now, is the extent to which it is possible to exclude people from information, knowledge, and cultural goods. The extent to which it's possible to enclose a bit, if you will, of culture and say, it's in a container, you have to pay me in order to access it.
You can make something property if you can build a fence for it. You can enclose something if you can build a wall around it. In the American West, the rangeland was free and all could graze it because it was too expensive to fence it. Barbed wire changed that and you could turn it into property.
Culture came in these boxes.
Control came naturally as part of the process of the existence of the medium itself.
There's a thing, a book, a record, a film, that you can hold on to and not give somebody else, or you can give it to them. And the whole payment system was built around, do I give you this unit of information or don't I give it to you? And that was how the whole model of copyright was built from the book on up.
What used to be property, music, cinema, now becomes very, very easy to transmit across barriers.
We have today the ability to make copies and distribute copies inexpensively. If one copy leaks out on the internet, very rapidly it's available to everyone.
One can always try to create artificial boundaries, technological boundaries, which prevent us from sharing files, prevent us from sharing music, etc. But how do you create a wall or a boundary against the very basic desire of sharing?
I think the war on piracy is failing for social reasons. People like to communicate. People like to share things. People like to transform things, and technology makes it so easy that there's no way of stopping it.
The new generation is just copying stuff out of the internet. It's the way they got brought up. They started with Napster or whatever. Music is free to them. They don't consider music being something you pay for. They pay for clothes, they pay for stuff they can touch. Intellectual property is, what the fuck is that?
I've never bought a piece of music in my life.
We don't think it's illegal because everyone's doing it. We can't really be blamed for just downloading something that's already on the internet.
Well, people think it's legal because it's like copying like without the copyright or something.
If it's a crime, why put it on there?
So whether you're using a sort of long lost peer-to-peer system like the original Napster, or you're using Gnutella, or you're using BitTorrent, the principle here is that you are actually engaging in internet communication as it was originally designed. You are able to serve content as well as consume.
Especially after the Napster lawsuit, we saw an emergence of a lot of more decentralized file sharing services. Computer programs that people could run on their own computers that would make them part of the network without having any one place where there's a master list or a master coordination.
What this means is that, in fighting file sharing, the entertainment industry is fighting the fundamental structure of the internet.
Short of redesigning and re-engineering either the internet or the devices we use to interact with the internet, there's nothing that Hollywood or Washington or Brussels or Geneva can do anything about.
They shattered Napster into millions of little pieces spread across computers all around the globe. And now if you want to shut it down, you have to track down every single one of them and turn it off. And they just can't do that. They send out letters every month trying to shut down a couple here and there, but it just doesn't work. There are just too many. It's out of the bag now. Once it's that far distributed, it's really going to be hopeless.
You can sue people forever. You can sue a handful of college students, university students in the United States. You can sue the investors of Napster, in Napster. You can sue the company that provided the software for Kazaa, but it doesn't shut anything down.
We recognize and we know that we will never stop piracy.
Kazaa lost a big case in the United States in the Supreme Court. Kazaa and Grokster and a set of other companies. So those companies no longer operate, but the network still works. In other words, the interface is still installed on millions of computers and people still use them.
Never stop piracy.
The music industry, if they want to stop file sharing, there's no central computer for them to go to and shut it down. They have to go all the way to the ends of every wire. They have to snip all the cords across the globe.
So when the Pirate Bay got shut down last year and during the raid, Amsterdam Information Exchange, AMSIX, reported that 35% of all the European internet traffic just vanished in a couple of hours.
The files have been shared. There's no way back. You can't. It's not about shutting down BitTorrent. It would be about confiscating everyone's hard drives. The files are out there. They have been downloaded. They're down. There's no up anymore. They're all down.
Never, never, never.
There's nobody you can go to and say, shut down the file sharing. The internet's just not built that way.
We're surrounded by images. Every day, everywhere. There's nothing you can do about it. But the problem with these images is that they're not yours. People's lives are determined by images that they have no rights to whatsoever. And let's say it's a very unfortunate situation.
There's this work of mine that people have described as a series of unattainable women In fact, it's a series of unattainable images.